circuit here at Paeroa. Here's the race leaders. Oh, and there are all sorts of problems.
Oh, big carnage. Oh, straight to the barriers and through the smoke we come.
If you're a motorcyclist, there's only one place to be come February, and that is the Paeroa Main Street for the Yamaha-sponsored Paeroa Battle of the Streets. They came in their thousands. It was a record crowd. It was the 15th year that the event had been run, and can you believe it? They have never had a wet day.
What's the most exhilarating part of the circuit for you?
I've got the camera on the left-hand side of the bike, and I held it absolutely flat through the kink before, and I would have been probably 10 centimetres away from that hay bale, so it was absolutely on the stop and top gear, so it felt pretty good.
And this is what it feels like to race on the streets of Paeroa. We're on board courtesy of Jared Love and his CBR 1000 Honda Fireblade.
You're pretty aggressive and you get pretty good starts. That's got to hold you in pretty good stead.
Yeah, we've made some good improvements and stuff, as you saw at Christchurch, and the bike's come along and riding really good and confident as well. So, yeah, heaps of problems and things aren't going right, but of course I'll pull the aggression out and get stuck right into it.
What do you think about your old mate on a big bike with Craig?
It's really good. I think they should maybe make him ride it for Wanganui so he knows what we have to go through.
There's probably no comparison, but compare Paeroa to Wanganui.
You're right, there isn't one. It's chalk and cheese. Like this really is. It's quite an easy track. It's just a couple of straights with a hairpin at one end and a bloody S-bend at the other end, really, and that's really about it. So you just got to have a bike that's real good and stable on the brakes, and you're pretty right from there. Like you don't require heaps of like side grip on the throttle like you would at somewhere like Manfield or Pukekohe. You just stand it up and squirt it here, so it's not too difficult. Run them quite soft and let them be a bit loose.
The big difference for this year was that Craig Sheriffs had himself a big bike for Paeroa. He'd been dominant at Wanganui. Would it be the same here? Once again, I'm joined in commentary by Paul Pavletic as we have a look at the view from Derek McAdams' Museum Hotel Kawasaki. This is Formula 2 race number 1, and the best of the starts looks like it's come from the New Zealand Superbike champion, and that is Andrew Stroud, and right on his shoulder is Craig Sheriffs.
These Suzukis are good off the mark, aren't they? They're always getting the whole shots, just brilliant. Now this is quite a tricky corner, it's off camber. Really got to be careful putting the power on early, heading down towards the commentary tower.
So already it is the Suzukis in the front. It is Andrew Stroud, it is Craig Sheriffs. You're on board with the man in third place. That is Derek McAdam on the Kawasaki, the Museum Hotel Kawasaki. And right in behind him, it's another young charger starting to make a bit of a name for himself, and that is bike number 4, and that is Hayden Fitzgerald. But look at this, already a change in the leadership as they work through the Woolworths turn into the hairpin for the first time, and it is Manawatu's Craig Sheriffs in the front. We saw a dominant performance from Sheriffs at Wanganui, and we saw last year he was outgunned on the 600. He's got the big bike. We'll see him out there in the Formula Paeroa and the Robert Holden races on the 1000cc machine. This is what he can do on a 600.
Well, I'm really looking forward to see how he adapts to that 1000cc bike, because, you know, they're very similar in a whole lot of ways until you wick up that throttle. So let's see what happens later on in the day.
Well, Andrew Stroud came here last year and put the cat among the pigeons, hadn't been to Paeroa for something like 4 years, came here and absolutely devastated the fields. Is he going to do it again today? That's him sitting in second place, number 1 on the brother Suzuki. There he is, getting a little bit closer now to Craig Sheriffs. Just can't quite get close enough. Just about drags the knee through the gutter in the Pirelli hairpin is Andrew Stroud. He's in second place. The man behind him, bike number 6, that is Derek McAdam. He carries our camera. If you've ever wondered what it feels like to do 200 odd kilometres an hour flashing past the shop windows in Paeroa, you get a graphic example.
Well, Phil, these bikes have actually been clocked at 260 kilometres an hour down the front straight. Unbelievably fast. I mean, everything's just a blur at that speed, and you certainly don't want to be making any mistakes, that's for sure.
The other thing you notice from the onboard camera, Paul, is look at the crowd. They are absolutely lining this circuit. The Hacksaw circuit, the original circuit. We're back to the future, if you like, here at Paeroa.
Machine too, 15,000 revs, screaming its brains out. It really is revving it to try and catch up to these guys up front.
There he is, Derek McAdam through the Pirelli hairpin, sits in third place. Fourth place now, well, it looks like it's one of our visiting Australians, and I think it is Scott Charlton. No, it isn't, it's number S, and that is Chris Seaton.
Yeah, Ssangyong sponsored. Brian Bernard managed, really adapting to this track incredibly well. I mean, Aussies don't do street racing, and here he is, right at the sharp end of the field, so he's got to be very happy with himself.
Well, that's right. We talked to these guys and they really got their eyes opened at Wanganui. They said there's nothing like this at home. They really have added a new dimension to the New Zealand Road Racing Championships. Have our visiting Australians. Sean Giles has gone back home, but we've got Scott Charlton and Chris Seaton still here, and they have enjoyed New Zealand as much as we've enjoyed having them.
Well, the crowd love it too. I mean, this is an enormous crowd. I really haven't seen a bigger crowd here at Paeroa than this year. It's just amazing. Road racing is very much alive in New Zealand at the moment.
So as we see so many times here on the streets, 2 races within one, it is Sheriffs and Stroud battling it out for the front running. Oh, look how sideways Craig Sheriffs gets it, backs it in, a la Valentino Rossi, up and over the hill out of the Father's Tavern.
He's barred through.
Stroud's right on him.
He knows, look, you've really got to be up front here, eh? Like you've got to get out and just block the track, you know, really make it hard for someone to get past. And Craig Sheriff knows that. He's a worry fox, this guy.
And then Stroud has a look behind him. Maybe he's a little bit worried about what's happening behind him. Through the Suzuki S as they come and down into the hairpin once again. And look at the attitude of the bike. Oh, he's trying hard, Craig Sheriff. And Stroud takes a bit of the hay bale, so he's giving it 110% as well.
Yeah, he brushed it with his foot peg.
Checkered flag comes out and race number 1 in the book, and the psychological advantage goes to Craig Sheriffs. In second place it will be Andrew Stroud, and in third place it was Derek McAdam on the Kawasaki. Fourth place went to bike number S, and that was Chris Seaton, and in fifth it was the other Australian in the field, and that was Scott Charlton. Sixth place, Auckland's Nick Odermatt.
Craig, 1 down, many to come.
Yeah, still got 4 to go. It's bloody getting hot out there now. But yeah, it was not too long a race, so it's not too bad. They were only 6 laps, but got 3 10-lap races on the superbike today, and I've not really ridden one of them before.
How hard is it to dial in here, to do that first race? Is that sort of a sigh of relief now that that one's out of the way?
It is a bit, actually, because when I was out there practicing, I just couldn't get going. I couldn't get my head into it at all. But when the flag drops, it seems to kick my head into gear. We're away.
How hard will it be here jumping from the 600 to the big bike, given that it's a whole lot faster than what we saw at Wanganui?
I felt good last year on it, and hopefully it'll be the same again.
Well, Andrew Stroud will have to feel good on his machine to keep Craig Sheriffs at bay. Right, it is the crowd favourites now. Subway bring them to you. It is the sidecars, and we haven't got Stacey Seller now. He's been absolutely dominant on the New Zealand road racing scene this year, the Australian. He's not there, but we have got the best in New Zealand, and the first of them away is number 2, and that is Phil Law and Gus Ravenswood from Gisborne. And, well, they have been the dominant rig when the Australians haven't been there. At Wanganui, we saw the Australian Stacey Seller have a pretty dominant performance, but it was the New Zealanders that chased them hard. And Phil Law and Gus Ravenswood going for title number 3, I think, in the streets, in the sidecars.
Well, you're right, Phil. Seller and McLeod really wrote the record books when they come over this year. They were incredibly impressive, and, you know, these guys have got something to aspire to as far as I'm concerned for coming series.
Well, a full complement of sidecars here, all the New Zealand rigs, the top New Zealand rigs are there. The Prentice boys, watch for them, bike number 40, or rig number 40, I should say. Have a look at the way they throw them into the turns, into the Pirelli hairpin at the top end of the Hacksaw circuit here, and now they are on Belmont Road. Well, we talked about speeds over 200 kilometres an hour. It's touching that sort of speed in these rigs as well, Paul.
It sure is, and that Honda is really flying. It's a CBR 1100 out front at the moment.
They're on board here with the Lawrence brothers from Auckland, and the difference in their rig is it is a European rig, and they've spun out coming into the Father's Tavern turn.
They'll be gutted.
Well, what I was going to say is all these bikes, or the majority of them anyway, are over 1,000cc powered engines, but the Lawrence brothers run a 600cc machine. Now, it is nimble, it brakes a little bit better, but it certainly pays in the horsepower stakes.
Yeah, it's really going to struggle on these fast circuits like this. You know, around Wanganui you might do okay, but on a fast circuit, these Hayabusa 1300s have just got so much power and torque. You know, when you're lugging around 2 bodies, you know, it's just not going to, I don't believe it's going to match it.
Well, here is Stu and Darren Prentice in the Hooper Engineering Suzuki-powered rig. Now, they've come on in leaps and bounds. Bike number 40, they're currently sitting up in second place. 27, Davey Annan. Well, we talked about Dave after Wanganui had some health problems, had a stomach complaint. Well, can you believe it? He's got health problems here at Paeroa as well, but this time it's a wisdom tooth. So he's had no luck at all on the streets of New Zealand over the summer.
He's taken the duct tape off the bottom of his leathers.
Yeah, and popped them up onto his jaw. There he is, number 27, one of the characters in the sidecar ranks in New Zealand on the GXXR 1000 Suzuki-powered machine, and that is Dave Annan and Phil Duthie.
It's great to see the crowd too. All the cameras come out when the sidecars come around for their race. It's just great. They love them.
Well, they're just so spectacular. This is only a small circuit by in kilometres, but it is so fast and so spectacular. So different from what we saw in Wanganui, Paul.
It's actually quite bumpy too, Phil. I mean, these passengers, like, they're really the swingers, hanging on for grim death going around here.
So the order at the moment in the Subway sidecars, it is rig number 2 in the front, 40 in second place, and in third place it's bike number 53. We just got a glimpse of them, and that is Bron and Whedon, and they're on an R1 powered machine. There are the Lawrence brothers. Now they're carrying our camera in this race, and there we see a graphic example of what it's like to race a sidecar. Just up ahead of them it's Adam Unsworth, I should say, and Daryl Doman from Wanganui.
Through the kink. That is a very fast kink, man. Well, these things are grunting down here to 200 plus kilometres an hour.
Into the Father's Tavern turn, and then up over the hill, as Paul said to you, a very difficult corner, off camber and running downhill as they work their way into the S's.
Quite a bit of a bump there as well.
So the race leader in the front, number 2. Phil Law and Gus Ravenswood from Gisborne. The Kuru Contractors, Dave Gooch, Spray and Sign Honda-powered machine. In second place, it's the Prentice Boys. That's number 40. And in third place, it's number 53, as we said, Steve Bron and Whedon. But the champions out in the front. Going into this one, it was Stacey Seller in front on 50 points. Bron and Whedon had 42, and Law and Ravenwood had 40. So it was very close indeed. That's going to change now, because it's the Gisborne pairing out in the front, working their way through the turns and heading down towards the back straight now.
The sidecar guys too, Phil, this year have really raised their game. The professionalism's increased tenfold. The rigs are looking great. You know, they're really trying to do a good job, and I salute them. I think it's great.
Through the Woolworths turn into the hairpin. Just saw the hand come off from Darren Prentice here, so maybe the rig number 40's got a bit of a problem. They're still sitting up in second place. Third place, number 53. Then we go back to rig number 27, and that's Dave Annan and Phil Duthie, and that is the way they'll finish. Well, it happens quickly around this 1.6 kilometre circuit here. The Battle of the Streets from Paeroa, sponsored by Yamaha, and the sidecars fall to Phil Law and Gus Ravenswood. Second place, Stu and Darren Prentice, and in third place, it's the rig of Bron and Whedon. Fourth place, Dave Annan and Phil Duthie, and in fifth, it was Mike Wooland and Timothy Wooland. Welcome back to the sun-drenched streets of Paeroa for the Yamaha Battle of the Streets. This is one of the favourites. This is Formula Paeroa, and we saw in Wanganui it was Andrew Stroud and Craig Shearis. Well, it's Stroud that's got the best of the starts, or has he? Because I think a lightning start from Honda rider Jared Love in there as well. There he is, bike number 69, inching his way down the inside into the Father's Tavern turn first, and he'll go into the lead. Oh, he overshoots it, Paul.
No, he's gone in way too hard, floated the back wheel, and he's just cocked it up.
So it is Andrew Stroud in the front. Now, we've got to tell you a little bit of background here. At Wanganui, 2 races in Formula Wanganui, and Andrew Stroud won one, and Craig Shearis won the other one. Remember, Shearis had a dominant day at Wanganui. He rode the 600cc machine. Now, coincidentally, this circuit is exactly the same size, 1.6 kilometres. But Wanganui, tight and very restrictive. Great for a 600cc machine, but here at Paeroa, you need the big bike, and Paul Pavletic, that's exactly what Craig Shearis has got today.
He has, and he's going to have his hands full because, you know, riding 1,000 is quite different than a 600. You're going to be entering into these braking points at probably 10 kilometres an hour faster.
Well, we get a graphic example of those braking points as we're on board here with Jared Love. Now, just up ahead of him, it's Craig Shearis, so Shearis hasn't had a very good start, Paul.
No, that's right. I actually think Jared might be having some brake problems because that's pretty much, well, twice in a lap that he's had problems braking. So
well, here's another man that's had problems braking, bike number 80. This is Auckland's Nick Odermatt, the Fredco Motors sponsored Suzuki. Meantime, back at the front, there is Craig Shearis. Well, I might have spoken too soon because he's riding the Chris Haldane 1000cc Suzuki. It's a quick machine, and I know that Craig hasn't spent a lot of time on it, but he's already monstering the current New Zealand Superbike champion, and that is Andrew Stroud. We're going to see something special here, I think, Paul.
Oh, sure are, because Shearer desperately wants to beat Andrew Stroud, the national champion.
Well, it was the same situation last year, but it was Craig Sheriffs and Jared Love. That year, Sheriffs didn't get to ride the big bike here at Paeroa, and Jared Love went through and won the very important Robert Holden Memorial. What's going to happen here? This is Formula Paeroa, and once again, it's the Suzuki's out in the front. In fact, they're 1, 2, 3, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're 1, 2, 3, 4 at the moment, Paul.
Oh, that's right. Jared Love's in 5th spot, and he's very hungry for a good placing here today. Really wants to do well. This circuit in the past has been good and bad to him, so he knows how hard it can be if you crash here. You know, it's a dangerous street circuit, and he wants to do well.
Bike number 1, it is out in the front, Andrew Stroud, the Suzuki New Zealand brother, corporate consumables sponsored Pirelli shod machine. Here comes the challenge from Craig Sheriffs. Down the inside through the Father's Tavern turn, up and over the off-camber, and Sheriffs is in the front. We're back on board here with Jared Love. This is a battle for 4th and 5th.
That was a great move, Phil. He just made that look so simple.
Well, he did. He looked like he had all the time in the world. A lot of people were saying to me this year, the new Craig Sheriffs is a much more smoother version than what we've seen in past seasons.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He really is focused, and he's got his machine perfect. He's got good support around him. He's just doing the business.
Well, have a look at this through the hairpin with Jared Love. Now he hits the fast button, if you like, and rockets down the main street here at Paeroa. Down Belmont Street they come through the kink, and they hardly back off here, Paul.
260 kilometres an hour, it's insane. He didn't button off one iota. He kept that thing nailed through the kink.
Then it's right down through the gearbox, through the Father's Tavern turn, up into Arnie Street now. Now they cross over into Princess Street. Then it's the S turn, and we've seen some problems here in the practice. Couple guys went down through the Yamaha S's. That is Scott Charlton from Australia, the Brian Bernard Racing Team machine. Right in behind him it's Jared Love, and then it's the second of the Brian Bernard races, and that is Chris Seaton. We're back on board here with Jared Love. If this doesn't get your blood pumping, there's something wrong with you.
Tries to wick it up early, but that Suzuki looks like it's got a little bit more punch out of the turn, and Jared Love's tucked in behind the screen. He's going to slipstream him, try and pull up the inside here and outbrake him. What can he do?
Well, he does it. Oh, I think he does it. We might have spoken too soon. Remember, there's a Suzuki on the outside. He's gone wide again.
No, his brakes, something's wrong with that bike. He must be just really gutted.
Well, Jared Love has had a problem all season long with the brakes on the big Honda, and you can see the speeds from our onboard shots, and you've got to have good brakes. The man on the screen's got good brakes. That is Andrew Stroud, and while we've been watching with Jared Love, Stroud's got back in the front, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, I can't understand that, because these Hondas are a great bike, you know. It must be something's just not right.
This is the Yamaha-sponsored Paeroa Battle of the Streets, and you're watching the first of the Formula Paeroa races, and Andrew Stroud in the front. He sneaks up on bike number 82. He's a lap rider. He holds his line. Sheriffs goes to the outside this time through the turn. Can he make it stick? He'll try and dive down the inside, square the apex of the corner. Doesn't work this time. Stroud, all the experience in the world, 7 Superbike titles. You don't get that for nothing.
I reckon Craig Sheriff's just biding his time at the moment. He's really looking good, and I think it's going to happen.
Well, another good performance coming from bike number 36. That is Ray Clee from Kumu.
TT winner this year too. What a brilliant season he's had. Just rode the wheels.
He's right on him again. The Satan Shirts machine. That's the Chris Haldane bike that Andrew is being pursued by. It's Craig Sheriffs on it though. Chris Haldane said, yeah, Craig, you want to ride 1,000, you ride my bike. It's fast. You'll be able to keep up with Andrew Stroud. That's exactly what he's doing here. In fact, he's doing more than keep up with him. He's monstering him.
He's adapted so well to this 1,000. I'm very impressed with Craig Sheriff. He's just doing a fine job.
Well, here's a guy that's impressed me right throughout the summer. This is bike number C, and this is Scott Charlton from Victoria in Australia. Came to New Zealand, first time he'd been here, and he is Mr. Aggression. We talk about Craig Sheriff being aggressive. This guy wrote the book.
Oh, he'll dust you up big time. I'd get out of his way if I was these guys.
Another thing we should mention here at Paeroa, and you get a graphic example of it there, is the bumps on the back straight. The guys wheelie over the first one, but it's the second one that really unsettles the machine before the Woolworths turn.
They've got the steering dampers cranked up, they're pulling back on the handlebars, they're locking their knees into the petrol tanks.
Through the Father's Tavern turn they come once again, and you can throw a blanket over the top too. It is Craig Sheriff. Oh, and he gets very sideways as they come off the top of the hill into the S as they go now. Suzuki on Suzuki. Here comes the challenge. He does it again.
He's barged his way through. That was great stuff. Really aggressive riding. Andrew Stroud's going, what's going on?
Well, you know, I said that Craig Sheriff's had smoothed out over the season, but he only knows one way, and that's get to the front as fast as quickly as you can. That's what he's done here. Through the Pirelli hairpin they come now, down Belmont Street. It's number 56 in the front, and Craig Sheriff draws first blood in Formula Paeroa. So Sheriff's gets the win, and that's a huge psychological advantage over Andrew Stroud in second place. Third place was the Australian Scott Charlton. Then it was Chris Seaton, another Aussie, and in fifth place it was Jared Love.
Just come off the Formula Paeroa race. You've beaten the New Zealand Superbike champion, and in a couple of places on the track you made him look a bit silly.
He was teaching me how to ride as I was going around. Like, I was only about fourth, I think, on the first lap, and a couple of guys just ran a bit wide, and I got past them both at the same time, and then Andrew was right in front of me, so I thought, well, follow the master and figure out how to ride this beast. And yeah, like his bike's quite a bit quicker down the front straight, but I think he's having trouble getting on the throttle, because this is, you know, we're about 30 horsepower down on the good one, so I think we can just get into it a bit sooner and a bit harder. And we've got a different brake master cylinder. We've got a Brembo one on there, which helps the brakes a lot more, so I managed to make up a bit of ground on the brakes, which is quite hard to do with Andrew Stroud. So yeah, I don't know what happened, but I hope I can do it again.
You told me to get aggressive, so I tried it. I went straight down the inside of them all on brakes and did them, and then out-braked myself, and Stratty was up the inside. And then, felt really good. And then Craig sneaked on by and was looking good, and then just purely out-braked myself into turn one. Then came back through, had the speed to come back, and started catching them, and then just, really lost my brakes then, and just shot off right up the escape road, and then that was about it. But definitely got the speed, so feel really good.
This is Supermotard, sponsored by KTM here at the Yamaha Battle of the Streets in Paeroa, the second and final round of the Battle of the Streets Championship. And this one, once again, a crowd favourite, Paul. Well, we got to tell you, Steve Briggs is not on his Supermotard bike, not on his regular Supermotard bike anyway. He's on a 900cc KTM.
This is a great class, this too. It really is just growing and growing. You know, people love it. It's a good place for ex-motocross bikes to go as well.
So we'll let them get sorted out. For the moment, it looks like it might be Brendan Code in the front. In fact, it's number 23, and that is Paul Brown from Tikawata on the Husaberg.
I'm looking too for Pete Byers, the Australian. He used to be one of the very best road racers from Australia, probably about 6-7 years ago. He was the naked bike champion, and really talented guy, so let's keep an eye on him.
Well, he's on one of the KTM 660s. This, though, is Brown in the front. There is Steve Briggs. Now, we're probably not going to see the normal back-it-in style that we see when he's on his KTM ex-factory 660 Supermotard bike, but the bike certainly has got some power. It's 900cc. It's a brand new version of, I guess it's a hybrid bike, isn't it, Paul, from KTM?
He sure is, and I'm not sure if they're betting the rules out having him ride this bike, but now he's a crowd favourite. People just love watching Stephen Briggs. He's sensational. He is the master of backing the bike into the corners, so maybe they're just turning a bit of a blind eye and seeing how he goes.
Now in third place it's KTM's Brendan Code on the SMR 560. And have a look back in fourth and fifth place at the moment with the Union Jack helmet. Now that's Toby Summers. Now he's back in fifth as we said, but the real surprise is he's only riding a 450cc Yamaha. Most of the bikes in front of him probably got 200cc's on them, and that means more horsepower.
Yeah, that's a really fine effort from a Motor Extreme rider. Looking for Gowden Gisler as well too. He's a brilliant rider. He rode in 4 Motocross D Nations, so very talented rider.
So there's been a change at the front as they work their way down the front straight here at Paeroa. It is now Stephen Briggs leading, then it's Brown in second place, and it's Brendan Code in third. So all the European brands are well represented here. KTM, Husaberg, KTM. Then I think we've got a Yamaha in the form of Toby Summers. Interesting story with Toby. I was talking to him earlier in the morning, and he told me that he watched this race last year whilst in a wheelchair. He'd been doing some motocross practice, and he broke both ankles. And he said to his girlfriend at the time, he said, I'm going to come back next year, and I'm going to ride here. Since then, he discovered Supermotard, and he hasn't looked back. He's been competing in the New Zealand Championship. And as I keep saying, he's on a 450, not the 600cc or the 900cc machines. There he is, number 77 on your screen.
I reckon Brendan Code's going to snap that throttle cable. He's trying so hard to catch his teammate, Stephen Briggs. He's on a mission.
So already the front boys have started to clear out a bit. None better in Super Bonetard in New Zealand than this man, Stephen Briggs. Comes from the perfect pedigree for the sport. A junior side speedway rider on the dirt, a junior motocrosser, and a very good road racer. Did a lot of development on the Buckley Systems BSL machine.
I actually rate him. I reckon he's a world-class rider, and I really wish somebody would give him a superbike.
Ross McKenzie there, number 41 on the Sangyong Suzuki. He's further down through the field. And a guy we haven't seen too much of at this stage, Paul, is Craig Flood. Now, we know Flood, he can ride these things.
Oh, he'll be coming. Don't worry about that. Number 95, taking a glimpse of him there. He's going to push his way through. There's nothing surer.
Well, there he is, right in behind Toby Summers. I said 77. He's bike number 79.
Here comes Flood.
Code. Flood down the inside on his 600cc machine.
Yeah, you could just see the extra power. That 200cc just pulled out and mowed that 450 Yamaha down the straight. It's all capacity, no substitute.
Briggs in the front, talk about capacity. It's a 900cc machine, the V-twin. Here is Brendan Code getting a little bit closer. Now, these two know each other's styles. They know what they do on the racetrack. They've raced each other plenty of times, but maybe not so often on the different bike for Briggs.
Wow, Code's going to be over him like a rash. Brakes come on early. Stephen Briggs, that's a much heavier bike to stop than the single cc Super Motard bike. Number 5.
Into the Pirelli hairpin once again. Code starting to get a little bit closer now, down out on the Belmont Street. This is the main street of Paeroa. They flash past the shop windows. And it is Super Motard Race 1 brought to you by KTM, and it is Stephen Briggs. It doesn't seem to matter what bike he rides, the result seems to be the same. So Briggs gets the win on the brand new KTM. In second place it is Brendan Code. Third place was bike number 95, Craig Flood on the 600cc Honda, and in fourth it was Toby Summers on the 450 Yamaha. Fifth place was Nigel Healy. Welcome back to Paeroa as we get set for the Robert Holden Memorial. Points going in, Craig Sheriff's on top with 50, Andrew Stroud on 44, Jason McEwen on 38. Of those three, the only one that's ever won the Robert Holden Memorial is Jason McEwen. Watch for him on bike number 7. Watch 2 for number 1, that is Andrew Stroud. And keep an eye, if you can, on bike number 56, and that is Craig Sheriff's. We're on board here with Jared Love once again. This time he's got the timing right into the Father's Tavern turn, and he runs up into second place. It's Andrew Stroud that's gone out in the front though, Paul.
Big slide. He got into a power slide, then lost his drive, and someone shot up the outside of him.
Got a feeling that was Craig Sheriff. So it is the combatants out in the front once again. Robert Holden Memorial. It is the top 30 qualifiers, or the top 30 fastest laps around here at Paeroa, that gets you in the field. So it's a big field, lots and lots of traffic, and that may play a part as the race wears on.
Wow, there must have been a big crash there previously, because all that white dust you could see is cement dust, and that's to soak up the oil.
Well, we just saw Jason McEwen running a little bit wide there through the hairpin, but he's still back in 4th or 5th place. Remember, he's on his comeback season, if you like, after a, well, let's be honest about it, a near life-ending crash at Taupo just 18 months ago. He's back to his best on the Ricoh Suzuki. These guys are better than that. 56 Sheriff's in the second spot at the moment. The man in the front is Andrew Stroud. He is the Superbike champion of New Zealand.
Wow, Craig Sheriff, man, is he looking, he's looking fired up. That back end was sliding in and the brakes was chattering. He's on a mission.
Oh, Jared Love's lost the chain. Just saw it come off the back of the bike. Unbelievable. I've never seen that in top road racing before. The chain comes off the Honda of Jared Love. His race is done.
Man, is he having a bit of a time of it, isn't he?
And this is his onboard shot as he pulls it up in the Pirelli hairpin, and the chain has come off. Can you believe it?
Well, I hope it's out of the way and not sitting in the middle of the track, because it'll be pretty slippery.
Well, it was on the back straight, and Craig Sheriff's is gone. And that's exactly the same corner we saw Tony Rees do it a couple of seasons ago. I think he just washed the front end out into the Father's Tavern turn. Sheriff's is gone on Chris Haldane's Suzuki. That's left Andrew Stroud with a bit of breathing space, but he's thrown away his chances of a Robert Holden Memorial victory. I know that was the title he was after. It ain't going to happen at Paeroa.
Well, this is what I was worried about. Unless it was machine failure, you know, that 1000 comes into the corners so much faster than a 600. You've only got to get your braking point out by, you know, half a metre and you pass the apex.
Well, Paul, it looks like he just washed the front end out.
Whoa, that is just such a shame.
It is a shame. I know he had the whole family here watching. This is the shot from Derek McAdam's bike. Remember, he's on a 600cc machine. He's the other bike in the field carrying our cameras.
And there's a 1000cc bike just whistling past.
Well, we talked to speeds over 230 kilometres an hour. This 1.6 kilometre circuit, it's the same length as Wanganui, but they get around it probably 5 seconds faster. Craig Shearis was the fastest man in captivity at Wanganui earlier this, in fact last year it was, on Boxing Day, and he was going round in 49 seconds. These guys are lapping in 45 seconds, can you believe it?
Here come the Aussie boys. They're just pushing their way through on the little 600. These guys are brilliant, these Aussies. I want to see more of them over here. They're just on the pace.
Well, we said it before, they've certainly raised the bar for the New Zealand Road Racing Championship. It's been a pleasure to watch them. It's been a pleasure to have them here. This battle within battles going on here. C, Charlton. S is Seaton. Right in behind him, New Zealand's best on a 600 in the Robert Holden, and that is the Museum Hotel sponsor Derek McAdam. Another rider that's really come on in leaps and bounds over the last 2 seasons.
Well, it's good too to see Sangyong sponsoring these Aussie boys as well, getting right in behind road racing this year.
Well, and Brian Bernard's been their mentor, and of course Brian Bernard, the defending champion in the Battle of the Street Series. He's retired, gone into race management, and it looks to me, Paul, like it's been the right move for him.
Oh, he's done a fantastic job, you know, like he's just so professional, he's right in his element.
Well, there's some close quarters racing going on there. I think maybe bike number 28 having a bit of a go. That's Rob Jackson from Whangarei.
Yeah, he's really picked the pace up. I'm super impressed with him.
Got to tell you about that little bit of dust we saw earlier on the back straight. That's in fact the road has delaminated. What's happened is it's so hot here at Paeroa today. Some said it was 35 degrees. Well, the tar's melted. You'll get a graphic look at it here as Andrew Stroud works toward this part of the road where it's just got a little bit of a hole. There it is there. I saw Sean Harris and some of the ex-riders out there trying to make it better for the racers.
Well, these Pirellis are doing the job for Andrew Stroud at the moment. They're a fantastic tyre. They're just hooking up.
So this is Andrew Stroud through the Pirelli hairpin, down the Sangyong Straight, into Belmont Straight now. Heading down past the start-finish line. He's got the Robert Holden wrapped up if he can stay on 2 wheels.
Oh, this is a display of excellence by Andrew Stroud. You know, he's really giving him a lesson on riding in this race.
Well, he's got plenty on his mind too, Paul, because his wife's about to deliver him twins. She's not at the racetrack today. He's there, though, with the full complement from the Brother Suzuki team and putting on a great show. Racing 2 classes, as so many are. Here are the Aussies. Here come the Australians.
And they're doing the business. There's a real war here to be the first Aussie as well. Like, talking to these guys, they desperately want to go home in front.
Well, Chris Seaton in the front for the moment, in front of Scott Charlton. Seaton's done a lot of racing up in Europe. Calls Australia home still though. This man, well, he calls Hamilton home these days. And look at number 2 there. I got a feeling that's Jason Nen just moving aside and letting Andrew go through. You saw him motion him through with the hand signal. There is Scott Charlton.
Well, it's a good thing to do too, because the speed difference between the fastest bike and the slowest bike out there must be a good 40 kilometres an hour down that straight, so good smart thinking.
So the Aussies locked together, the Brian Bernard Racing Pirelli Sangyong team, side by side as they work their way into the Father's Tavern turn now. Up and over the top they go, through Army Street, and then down into Princess Street now, and then through the S's, that'll put them onto Wharf Street. This is where the road is starting to delaminate. Here's the battle at the front of the field. Well, one of the battles anyway. Number 1, Andrew Stroud, right in behind him. It's one of the lap guys, and that is bike number 51. And that's Ricky Mackay on the Kawasaki on a 600cc machine. Big wheelie, though, as the checkered flag comes out for Andrew Stroud. He's always wanted to win the Robert Holden, and he's done it here in Paeroa in second place. Well, it'll be one of the Australians. Will it be Charlton or will it be Seaton? They work their way down towards the flag now. Checkered flag comes out, and it's a battle royal to decide it, and I think it might have been number C, and that was Scott Charlton. Charlton on the 1000cc machine. Right behind him, it was Chris Seaton on the 600, and then it was Jason McEwen on the 1000cc Suzuki. Another 1000cc Suzuki through in 5th was Ray Klee, and then it was Hayden Fitzgerald on the Honda.
Craig, what happened?
I just lost the front at the apex of turn 1. Just caught me by surprise, really. Like, I was trying pretty hard to keep up with Andrew, but it just came out of the blue. Like, I certainly wasn't expecting it. I didn't feel like I'd gone in there too fast or anything, but apparently I had, so just fell over, and that was the end of it, really.
You're okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just a little bit annoyed with myself, really, but I have to ring up the owner and tell him I crashed his bike soon, I guess, but he'll be all right. But yeah, it's just sort of screwed up winning Robert Holden series, really, so that's more annoying than anything.
Well, we'll have to put that disappointment behind him, will Craig Sheriff, because he lines up here in the second race for Formula 2, and right alongside him, his nemesis, and that is Andrew Stroud. So watch for those two on the front row. Watch two for Derek McAdam. He'll carry our camera. And watch two for the Australians.
Stroudy and McAdam bumping fairings then, heading up towards the first corner.
And it's one of the Australians that's going to lead them into the Father's Tavern for the first time, and that is Scott Charlton. He's just drifted a little bit wide, and that's the opening that Craig Sheriff was looking for. So Sheriff goes into the front. He's put the disappointment of the Robert Holden behind him, and the fact that he crashed Chris Haldane's bike, and he's now, well, I spoke too soon. Seaton's gone through. Where did he come from, Paul?
We've had 3 leaders in 3 corners.
Unbelievable stuff here at Paeroa. There you get a graphic example of what we were talking about before, the bumps on the back straight as we ride here with Derek McAdam, the Museum Hotel Kawasaki. Now, everyone said to us all throughout the season, the Kawasaki's are the horsepower monsters. Let's see if it's true. Down the front straight they go.
Yeah, he's drawing in. There you go.
There it goes. On the screen for everyone to see, they are the horsepower monsters. Derek McAdam moves up into 3rd place. Look at the way he leans that machine into the corner.
Oh, look, he's just made a bit of a mess of it too, because the Aussies shot up the inside.
So Charlton goes back into 3rd place. Oh, he doesn't, because McAdam's got him back. Oh, they're passing. Oh, I can't believe it here. This is only 1.6 kilometres round, and as you said, Paul, we've got 3 passes and 3 corners, and they've done it again in lap 2.
There's no way these guys are going to do a bolter in this race. They're all fired up, and Craig Sheriff, man, I cannot believe how relaxed he is after just possibly throwing away the series like that.
Well, there's no doubt about it. He's thrown away the Robert Holden, but he's got his mind focused on the job at hand, and that is to win the F2. He's owned it here at Paeroa for the last 3 years. He's the defending champion on the Suzuki. There he is, bike number 56 in 2nd place. Then it's McAdam on the Kawasaki. Then it's bike number 1. He is the New Zealand Superbike champion. He was the Junior Sports Production champion last year. That is Andrew Stroud. But out in the front, it is the Brian Bernard Racing Sangyong Pirelli shod Suzuki GSXR 600 of Chris Seaton.
Well, there's a real tyre war going on. We've talked about it before. We've got Metzler out there, we've got Pirelli, we've got Hayden Fitzgerald on Michelin's. You know, they all want to win this desperately, because, you know, what wins out here translates to road bike sale tyres.
Oh, Seaton's made a mistake. Oh, how did he save that? He got his foot off the peg. He nearly went over the high side. He's lost 1st place. Sheriff capitalises. He goes into the front.
Man, that was lucky that didn't flick him.
So lucky for Chris Seaton, but in the same breath, so unlucky. He drifts back to 2nd. Stroud tries to go up the inside through the Father's Tavern turn of Derek McAdam, makes the pass stick as they go up over the Yamaha hill and down the other side.
Wow, you read Andrew Stroud's body language. He is committed. He desperately wants this race.
Well, he is such a quiet man off the racetrack, or before he straddles the machine, but he told me earlier on today he was here to win. He wasn't here to get 2nd. He wanted the Robert Holden. It's a title that's eluded him for a long, long time in his career, and he wants the F2 title. He wants to prove to everybody here that Craig Sheriff isn't the dominant rider. That's going to be a big ask, I think, Paul.
Well, it is, and look, he's pretty much nearly a professional road racer, so yeah, he wants to win. He needs the income.
Well, I know that they're thinking about mounting a campaign in World Superbikes this year. I think the plan is to start off in Australia at Phillip Island in the not too distant future, so he needs all the lap time he can get, and he's moved his way up into 2nd place now, and he made the pass on Chris Seaton look easy.
Wow, he is on a mission. He's taking the high sweeping lines. He knows he's got to carry fast cornering speed. He's got to put in some blisteringly fast lap times to close the gap.
Through the Suzuki S's, down the back straight. There are the bumps we continuously talk about. We're back on board here with Derek McAdam through the Woolworths turn. Now down through the gearbox, hard on the brakes for the Pirelli hairpin. Just up ahead of him, it is the Australian, and just up ahead of him, it's Andrew Stroud. So the Suzuki's coming to the fore here again at this Yamaha-sponsored event. 15 years they've been racing at Paeroa. We've never had a wet one. I've never seen a bigger crowd, and I don't think I've seen more exciting racing. Sheriff and Stroud going at it like there's no tomorrow.
This is great for the future. You know, we need to have more road circuits. You know, the crowds love them. They flock here. The car park is just an ocean of motorcycles.
Well, that's right. It's the annual pilgrimage, isn't it, to Paeroa? Every last week in February, that's when it happens. And it's happening here on the racetrack. Sheriff's in the front, Stroud getting a little bit closer now.
I think I saw his pit board too. +0. That's got to be a wake-up call.
Down through the hairpin they go once again, and there's nothing in it. And Derek McAdam's still in this too, Paul.
Yeah.
There he is on the Museum Hotel Kawasaki, sitting in 4th. Suzuki gets there, though, by the slimmest of margins. Oh, and they've given it to Andrew Stroud. Oh, I'd love to have another look at it. Stroud gets there by 0.006 seconds from Craig Sheriff. In 3rd place, it was the fighting Australian Chris Seaton, and in 4th place, it was Derek McAdam. 5th was Scott Charlton, and in 6th, another young charger, Troy O'Donoghue. You're watching the Yamaha Battle of the Streets at Paeroa, 15 years in inception, and this is the 2nd race of Formula Paeroa. And on the front row, it is once again the battlers. Number 1, the brother Suzuki of Andrew Stroud. 56, Craig Sheriffs. Now, is he riding a 1000cc machine, or is he on a 600? I think he's on a 600, Paul.
He might be, and I think Jared Love, boy, he's got some tension built up today. He's had a bit of a shocking day with chains breaking, brake problems. He really needs a good result here.
Well, he's got a good start because he moves into 2nd as they disappear up and over the top of the hill. But it's Andrew Stroud out in the front. The brother Suzuki, then it's the Castrol Honda. Jared Love, as you said, it's a day he'd like to forget. I tell you what, if it was a fish, he'd throw it back.
Because he knows how to ride around Paeroa. He's a champion.
Well, that's right. He is a champion. He had some real moments around here 5 years ago. He nearly died in a crash. He's come back to be better than ever. He was the king here last year. What can he do this time round? He just needs a bit of luck.
Well, this is a great schooling too for places like the Isle of Man, Phil. These road circuits, I think, are compulsory. If you want to go to like the Isle of Man, we've had champions like Hiscock, Crosby, Anstey, Harris. They've all cut their teeth on road circuits like Wanganui, and some of them Paeroa.
This is the view from on board Jared Love's machine, currently sitting in 2nd place. Down through the Suzuki S's now, and out onto the back straight, and you'll get a graphic example of how the altitude or the attitude of the bike changes as they go across this melted tar patch.
He wants to get up close too and start pressuring Stroudy, so Andrew will have to start riding tighter lines. And if you ride tight lines, they're normally slower laps, so that's what he needs to do. Get up close, pressure him.
Well, it's been confirmed Craig Sheriff's on the 600cc machine. I know he put a phone call into Chris Haldane. They had Chris Haldane's race bike in the van. He crashed his backup bike. You saw that in the Robert Holden race. They rang Chris and said, could we use some bits off the race machine? He said, use the whole machine. If you want to ride it, ride it. Craig's decided not to ride it. He's riding the 600 in this, the final race in Formula Paeroa. There he is, bike number 56, the Haldane Suzuki.
Well, you can see, Phil, the chains flapping up and down. They're running a lot more suspension travel here. Just soak up the bumps.
There's the bumps we talk about. And watch this, not so much the first one, but the second one unsettles you for the Woolworths turn. That's the Metzler turn you see there. This is the race leader. He's coming in and out of the Pirelli turn. Jared Love's a little bit closer this time, I think, Pav.
He sure is, and he knows that he's got to get on. Pressure him, push him. Let him hear the engine. Let him hear that Honda screaming right behind him.
It's the 1000cc Suzuki of Andrew Stroud out in the front. The brother Suzuki, the corporate consumables Suzuki.
The Pirelli shod Suzuki, he sure is on the pace.
Well, he's had a fantastic day, and the Pirelli people are here. We've got representatives from Germany here watching this racing. Bike number 11 in the field. This is Graham Lawson. He's about to be put a lap down, along with bike number 82, Kevin Geard. Now, Kevin's been around a long, long time. Always been a stalwart here at Paeroa.
SP1000 V-twin Honda.
Bike number 71, another one of the guys that hasn't had the best of days. This is Danny McIndoe from Tikawiti on the McIndoe Group Yamaha. Ray Clee, we haven't mentioned Ray Clee too much, but he's been fast, he's been there or thereabouts, and he's there or thereabouts here because he's sniffing out Craig Sheriff's 36, Ray Clee from Kumu, another one of the top running Suzuki riders. He is Andrew Stroud's mechanic. He prepares Stroudy's machines.
Yeah, he sure does, and he's got to be one of the best engine builders in New Zealand because his bikes are always blisteringly fast.
So Ray Clee about to put his stamp on this Formula Paeroa race at Paeroa.
You can just see too the difference between the 600 and the 1000. Craig Sheriff pushing Andrew Stroud all the way to the finish line, but he's just dropping back a little bit on the 600. Hopefully he's not carrying the injuries from that crash. It didn't look too hard a fall.
Well, this is the battle at the front of the field as we go back to the head of affairs. It is Stroud in the front, Jared Love in second place, a little bit closer now. The Pirelli versus the Michelin. That's the tyre war at the moment. It's the Suzuki versus the Honda. And you've got to say the Suzuki's come out on top here. Andrew Stroud in his familiar orange helmet. Down the back straight they come once again. The big air from Jared Love on the Honda. Well, he's done a lot of motocross in his time and he's using those skills to good advantage here. So too is Andrew Stroud. That's what he does for fitness, Pav. He's got an RM Suzuki that he races regularly.
Good call, and you're dead right too. We've got a Pirelli out front, we've got Mitchell in second, we've got Metzler in third, and I think we've got Dunlop in fourth.
Well, all the brands representatives were on board here with Jared Love. Down into the braking area now for the Father's Tavern turn. That's the top end of this 1.6 kilometre circuit. Up and over this off-camber turn, you heard Paul say it is very hard to pick the exact right line, although we've got to say through the day we've seen Craig Sheriff do it absolutely perfectly.
They all want to carry a lot of speed over that corner too, because it puts them in a good spot to outbrake going into the Suzuki S's.
Down the back straight, the leaders go. Just looking out there for number 56, Craig Sheriff. He's still back in third place. Then it's Ray Clee, then it's Chris Seaton, then it's Derek McAdam as we concentrate on this battle at the front of the field. There is Craig Sheriff's. He's got the whole family watching today. Mum, Dad, the kids, all his brothers are here, and they hope to see him take the Robert Holden Memorial. Hasn't worked out that way. He's put that behind him, and now he's battling out in the second and final Formula Paeroa race. This man is at the front of the proceedings, though, Andrew Stroud. He's getting monstered by Jared Love. It's Jared's best performance this year at Paeroa.
Well, too, you can see they've got strengths at different part of the circuit because Jared pulls right up on him down the front end of the section, but around the back part, Andrew Stroud pulls away. So they've obviously got kinks in their armour.
Well, you know, we've mentioned that all these guys are full of aggression. There's no more aggressive on a motorcycle than Jared Love. He's told us so many times he's just got to get out there, go harder, jam them down the inside, pass them wherever he can. He's got to get close enough to pass Andrew Stroud, and he's not going to do it. Time runs out for him. Stroud wins the second Formula Paeroa race. In second place, his best performance of the day is Honda's Jared Love, and in third place on the 600 this time, it is Craig Sheriff. Fourth place goes to Kumu's Ray Clee, and in fifth it was Australia's Chris Seaton. Sixth place, Wellington's Derek McAdam.
How do you cap a day like that?
Yeah, you can't really. No, that was perfect.
Were you getting signals? Did you know that Craig had come down in the Robert Holden?
No, I had looked back probably about 2 laps after he went down. But I think I was pretty well on the lap record the lap he went down. I was really pushing it, and yeah, unfortunate for him.
Competitors and crews headed northwest up Highway 2 for the second round of the Parker NZ New Zealand Jetsprint Championships for International Group A. Vastly different from what we saw in round 1, the Whakatane leg is carved out of the shingle banks of the Whakatane River. River courses are the home of jet sprinting. It's where the sport started in the 80s. All you have to do is drive a digger into the river, block part of it off, and you've got a racetrack.
Simon, it's a river course. The Great Leveller?
Some river courses are. This one's pretty big and open though. There's a few tight corners, but first run in, I mean it's pretty long. Pick up a bit of speed there. No, I think Hamish will still be he'll still be the one to beat.
You still think that's horsepower that's needed out there?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, horsepower to get the drive out of the corners.
What about some of the little traps out there? One little mistake and...
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the course is changing all the time. You know, the water level's dropping now. Shelves are building up. So yeah, there'll be hidden traps under the water that you can't see.
So this is round 2 of the Parker NZ New Zealand Jetsprint Championships. We are on the Whakatane River. This is the top 8, and the first to go is Darren Munro. It's a boat he shares with Tony Sargison from Rotorua. It's a Mack craft, and of course this is International Group A. And something markedly different from what we saw in round 1, a river course, not the purpose-built course, and this throws up its own set of problems. The shingle banks being amongst them. Best time so far for Darren was a 54.14. With the likes of Hamish Pride and Calvin Padden and company to go. He's going to have to be a little bit quicker than that, I would think, if he wants to progress any further. It's all about eliminations. It's all about putting a time on the board and trying to stay at the top end of the field. This is the top 8. We'll cut it again down to 4, and then there'll be just 2. But it's Darren Munro we're watching at the moment as he comes down to complete his run now. And it will be a time in the 53s or maybe the late 54s as he works his way down to this flying fast finish. 54.06 for Darren Munro.
Oh yeah, we're going to have to keep our wits about us because the the river is changing, it is dropping, and every time the superboats go out there, they absolutely destroy another corner and make it just that much different to when we were out there last. So we've got to boat it as we see it and be very quick to adjust and anticipate what we think has happened from the last round.
Second to go in the top 8 is Gisborne's Rex Bryant. White Pointer, the boat. Best so far of a 54.11, so around about the time we saw that Darren Munro has done in this very restricted class, if you like. They're restricted to 410 cubic inch engines, cast iron block and cylinder heads. No aluminium heads allowed. In fact, no aftermarket heads allowed. They run on pump gas and they run through a 4-barrel carburetor. None of the fuel injection in the monster engines we see in the superboats. Time to beat 54.06 of Darren Munro. We're watching Rex Bryant at the moment. This is a boat that he has built himself. Makes aluminium fishing boats for a living, but has a pretty tidy sideline in jet boating as well. And you saw him there just getting up onto one of the shingle banks, and that's one of the problems of a natural river course. This is the Wakatani River, and this is round 2 of the New Zealand Championships. Rex Bryant on his way toward the finish line now. 54.11, his previous best. This one's going to be quicker, I think. It is 53.82 for the man from Gisborne. Next to go is Calvin Padden. Now, we saw him in round 1 at the Gisborne Aqua Track. He got through to this far. He made it through to the top 8. Let's see what he can do this time around. Moody Blue is the boat. Calvin Padden is the pilot. Best time so far of a 54.05. Went aground in the first qualifying run, and a lot of them have been troubled by the navigation. And the simple fact that this is the shingle banks and they change with every run, because the river, of course, changes with every run. With every run of the boat, the more shingle gets dropped off the banks into the river, and vice versa. So the levels go up and down, but more importantly, the ramps toward the banking goes up and down as well. And if you get it wrong, it sends you skyward. Let's hope that Calvin Padden doesn't get it wrong, though. Best time, as we told you, 54.05. That was into the top 16. What can he do here? He's got to go faster than 54.06. That's still the time to beat there. You see it on your screen. Darren Munro put that up as the first of the 8. Working his way towards the finish line now. It will be desperately close. I'm sure there's a fair bit of ground to cover. It's going to be over the 54-second mark. It is 54.71. So he doesn't go faster than Darren Munro. Scott Donald is the next boat up. The Featherston Farmer. This is an Eagle hull built by Russell Dodds. Scott and Tracy, his wife, is his navigator. Away he goes. Well, if he runs to his potential, he should easily make it into the top 4 with a 53.72. That's the fastest. The time to beat now, 54.71, and that is Calvin Padden. So getting to the stage where we're putting them on the trailer, because this is the 8. We'll cut them down to 4, we'll cut them down to 2, and then there'll be just the finalists to go. That's a little further away yet, because we've got a big field of International Group A boats to get through. Scott Donald on his way, well past the halfway mark now. Will we see a sub-54-second run? There are his previous times. He had problems in round 2, as you can see, 76 seconds. That was a major, major problem for Scott Donald. But put all those times behind him as he works his way down towards the finish line. Time to beat 54.71. Time ticks away. He's still got a long run to the finish. 54.44. He does it just by the skin of his teeth.
We ended up 4th last week, and I was pretty happy with that, to tell you the truth. And I'll be happy if we make the top 4 again today.
You think you can?
Yeah, I do.
What's the time going to be to get into the 4?
I'd say with a sub-58 you get in the 4, had a guess.
Well, Peter Schuler says sub-58 will get him into the 4. Well, if he can run to his potential, another one that can be under the 54-second mark, 53.69 in the top 16. Diz, his wife, is the navigator. That's her sitting alongside the GVI Imports 90.5 FM sponsored boat. Away goes Peter Schuler. The time is still that of Kelvin Patton to beat, 54.71. And I can tell you that since the last 2 qualifying rounds, Peter Schuler has been easily under that. There are the times we've had so far. So we're getting to the stage where we're putting them on the trailer, and a worried man must be Kelvin Patton. His 54.71 may not stack up too much longer. Schuler gives the islands a bit of a wide berth, and that's a sensible way to do it, because as we say, it's what you can't see under the water which traps the pilots. Let's see what Mr. Schuler can do. 54.71 is the time to beat. And as we said before, a long run into the finish, so I think we're going to see a 53-second run here. We sure are. 53.66 for Peter Schuler, and that will keep him alive so far as we work our way down the top 8. Simon Campbell in Opiki Spud is the next one to go. Now, he was a champion in the International Group A class a couple of seasons ago now. He is a potato farmer from Opiki. 54.44 is now the time to beat, so it means Kelvin Patton is out. Scott Donald is the boat on the bubble. What can Simon Campbell do? Kelvin's Patton day, as you see there, has finished. He's consigned to the spectator ranks now, and there's quite a few of them here watching round 2 of the Parker NZ New Zealand Championship. As we watch a man that was a champion 2 seasons ago. This is Simon Campbell in Opiki Spud. His father driving this boat as well, hasn't made it through to the top 8 this time. 54.44 is the time that will be in the back of his mind. He's gone appreciably quicker than that. He did a 52.61 in the 16. He's done a 52.64 here. That will keep him in the show. This is Hamish Pride and Rob Mayhead. Hamish Pride, of course, the New Zealand champion, the world champion. The Don is the boat. Hamish is one of the great thinkers of New Zealand jet sprinting. Goes away after every meeting and has a bit of a think, just sees how they can tickle the boat to get a little bit more out of it. We're on board with him here now. Best times for Hamish so far has been 51s, 56, a 51.56, I beg your pardon, and a 51.38 to go through into the top 16. So he is head and shoulders above the rest of this field. But as he always says, every run is totally different. The river's changing all the time. The shingle banks are moving. He's got to contend with all that and keeping the boat going the right way and keeping his foot on the throttle to make sure it's a fast run. Faster anyway than the 54.06, which is the time to beat at the moment. Heading down towards the finish line now. We've seen another 51-second run of 51.56 for Hamish Pride. Last boat to go. Now this is Tony Sargison. We've already seen the boat in the hands of our first runner today, and that was Darren Munro, and he did a 54.06, and for a while there that was the time to beat. But now the time to beat is Rex Bryant's 53.82, so the pressure comes on, and certainly coming on this man. This is Tony Sargison in the Macraft that Darren Munro put down a 54.06. So what can Tony Sargison do? Oh, and he gets very, very close to the banking there. Just got the line a little bit wrong into the turn and paid the price on the exit. So wide once again there. Hamish Pride sets the benchmark with a 51.56. Can this man make it through into the top 4? If he can go faster than a 53.82, he can. Let's see what he can do as he starts to bring this boat towards home now. And watching as he comes around the top end of the course in front of the crowd, and he's gone wrong. Well, he's taken the wrong turning. He's gone back on himself. He's got the course wrong, so now he's got to either make good on the course or he's going to eliminate himself because of time. Look at this. He's trying to get himself back on track, so he's essentially doing 2 loops in 1 here, so he's going twice the distance, and look at the time ticking away. His best time was a 53.92. He's well over the minute, so he's out of the top 8 as he works his way down now towards the finish, and through the finish line he goes. And look at this, can you believe it? What a stroke of luck for Sargison. The electronic timing has failed and the clock hasn't stopped. So the rules say if that happens, you go through. So Tony Sargison will go into the top 4, but it won't be a top 4, it will be a top 5. So this is the man that has got all the luck on his side today at Wakatani for round 2 of the Parker NZ New Zealand Championships. This is Tony Sargison. You saw in his previous run the electronic timing failed, and the rules say if that happens, you get the free pass, you go through. That's what's happened with Tony Sargison. In the Macraft that Darren Munro put down a 54.06. So what can Tony Sargison do? As he starts to bring this boat towards home now. And watching as he comes around the top end of the course in front of the crowd, and he's gone wrong. Well, he's taken the wrong turning. He's gone back on himself. He's got the line a little bit wrong into the turn and paid the price on the exit. So wide once again there. Hamish Pride sets the benchmark with a 51.56. Can this man make it through into the top 4? If he can go faster than a 53.82, he can. Let's see what he can do as he starts to bring this boat towards home now. And watching as he comes around the top end of the course in front of the crowd, and he's gone wrong. Well, he's taken the wrong turning. He's gone back on himself. He's got the line a little bit wrong into the turn and paid the price on the exit. So wide once again there. Hamish Pride sets the benchmark with a 51.56. Best time so far of a 53.92 to get here into what unusually will be known as now the top 5. You see there on the screen, no time to get through to the top 8, so he made it by the skin of his teeth. But really, you'd have to say, being brutally honest, he's probably not the class of the guys he's going to compete against. 53.92, his best time so far. The best time of the men in front of him is appreciably faster. Let's see what he can do. Let's not put the kibosh on the run. The boat he shares with Darren Munro out of Rotorua. The Firestone Racing Mack Craft working its way down towards the finish line now. This is the top 5 at round number 2, and it's a 53.52. Well, now the heat goes on. And this man applying the blowtorch, this is Rex Bryant from Gisborne, has done a 53.87 to get through in the top 8. This is the top 4. All the times we've seen so far mean nothing now. It's a clean slate. Time to beat, 53.52. That was the first run of Tony Sargison, riding his luck all the way here at round 2 of the Parker NZ Championship. Let's see what Rex Bryant can do, keeping in mind that still to come is Peter Schuler, Simon Campbell and Hamish Pride. A top 5 here for round 2. A little bit different. The crowd getting their money's worth and then some because Rex Bryant's got it wrong. Oh, that's desperate bad luck for Rex Bryant up on the shingle bank, and that will be all she wrote. For the popular man from Gisborne, he won't record a time, that's a DNF. So the luck stays with Tony Sargison. But it definitely deserts Rex Bryant. Here it is on the replay, just got a little bit wide, and you can see, as we said before, the shingle banks are so unforgiving. Peter Schuler will have seen that. He'll know, making a mental note to keep an eye on the navigation, keep away from the banks, although they draw you in. Peter Schuler away. The time to beat is still that of Tony Sargison, the 53.52. This man has gone a little bit slower than that in the top 8. He did a 53.63. In the top 16, he did a 53.69, so he's been consistent, but he hasn't been able to go much quicker. What can he do now? We said before, this is a river course, so things changing all the time. The shingle moves one way and then the other. The weight certainly changing the course of the river here at Wakatani. Let's see what Schuler can do. The orchardist, the local lad, the crowd will be right behind him. Valuable points at stake here for Peter Schuler if he can make it through into the top 2. His wife Diz is the navigator as they work their way towards the business end of this river course here at Wakatani. Peter Schuler, the time to beat is that of Tony Sargison's, the 53.69, and can you believe it? Well, they say lightning doesn't strike twice, but it has here, because once again the timing has malfunctioned, and that means Peter Schuler, just as we saw Tony Sargison in the top 8, Peter Schuler now goes through. We will have a top 3 and not a top 2. Talk about change, that's what we've got here in round 2. Simon Campbell, though, will be oblivious to that. He's got all the concentration on his job at hand, and that's to get through this course, which is proving to be a bit of a brain teaser for some of these guys, and certainly for our electronic boffins with the timing system. He's got to get through the course. He's got to go faster than a 53.52. Tony Sargison, we said the time wouldn't stand. It has so far, and it is still standing. But you see there, Simon Campbell has gone quicker. He's been consistently in the 52s. Oh, Picky Spud is the boat. Simon Campbell is the driver. He was a champion in this class 2 seasons ago. What can he do here? Working his way down towards this long finish line, this very fast finish now. Simon Campbell coming through in a 52.35. So finally we've got someone that finishes the run, and that is Simon Campbell.
Hamish, you still got that margin?
Yep, we've still got a couple of second buffer. I think we actually got a little bit of time left, but the track has speeded up, you know, so expect everyone else to go a little bit quicker too. But yeah, no, we're still sitting on a couple of seconds, which is pretty good.
Well, you heard Hamish Pride say that they're sitting on a couple of seconds now. If you take that to mean as it says, it means he thinks he can maybe go a couple of seconds quicker. He's already the fastest boat on the water in International Group A with a 51.38. That was in the top 16. As we've said so many times before in the Parker NZ New Zealand Jetsprint Championship, those times don't mean anything now. But the story, the talk of the shore here at Wakatani has got to be in the performance of Tony Sargison. He rode his luck through the top 8. They had a timing malfunction. He got through to the 4. And he's still through to the 4, which became 5, but he's still in the hunt of this one. But there's nothing he can do about it. He's just watching from the sidelines. Rex Bryant, DNF'd, of course. Peter Schuler registered no time, so he went through. Tony Sargison was on the bubble. What's going to happen here? You're watching the man that is the best in the land. This is Hamish Pride heading down towards the finish line now. He's already gone sub 52, so you got to think that maybe Tony Sargison's time is up. There is the time to beat, 53.52. We're on board here with Hamish Pride. Rob Mayhead sits alongside him. He's calling the shots. They're working down towards the finish line now. 50.41. Say goodbye, Tony Sargison. Well, Tony Sargison's great run comes to an end because on time he was the third fastest, but Peter Schuler had the problem. He goes through regardless. Hamish Pride still the best of them, 50.41. Well, Tony Sargison's run of luck came to an end, but this man's is still alive. This is Peter Schuler. Remember, he didn't record a time in the top 4. There was a timing malfunction, and that means by the letter of the law, he goes through. So he is the first of the top 3. Can you believe it? Whole different scenario here than what we saw in round number 1 at Gisborne. This is the natural river track at Wakatani. It's round 2 of the Parker NZ Championship. This is the top 3, and you're watching Peter Schuler, and he just kissed the bank then, so that's going to cost him a little bit of time. Best time so far, 53.63. That was in the top 8. That seems like an hour or 2 ago now. Let's see what he can do. The local lad from Wakatani, Peter Schuler. His co-driver is his wife, working their way down towards this fast finish here at Wakatani. 53.63 was his best time. Let's see what he can do here. 53.20. I don't think that's going to be good enough. He got through to the 3, but I don't think he's going to repel either Simon Campbell or Hamish Pride. Simon Campbell is the boat on your screen at the moment. This is O'Picky Spud. The time to beat now becomes the 53.20 of Peter Schuler. But Simon Campbell, I've got to say, has gone faster. He's done a 53.09 to get into this position, and he did a 52.35 in the top 8. So the potential is there. The champion 2 seasons ago. There is the time on your screen. Peter Schuler's 53.20. He's put the time on the board, and that's what this guy's got to do as well. It's not all cut and dried in jet sprinting. You've got to put a time on the board, and you've got to make sure it's going to be fast enough to keep you going through the eliminations. That's what Simon Campbell has done right throughout the day. He hasn't relied on luck. He's just relied on skill, and that skill is going to get him valuable points in the Parker NZ Championship. He works his way down towards the big flying finish line now. Will we see a 52-second run for Simon Campbell? We do not. 53.09. Good enough to get him second fastest, but I'm sure it's not good enough to turn this guy back. This is Hamish Pride. 50.41 in the top 4. Well, that raised the eyebrows of everyone here at Wakatani. Gets the go message from Rob Mayhead, and away they go. The Don is the boat. The Paeroa roading contractor is the pilot. That is Hamish Pride. He is the New Zealand champion. He is the world champion in International Group A. He was easily the best in round 1 in Gisborne, and he has gone faster than anyone else here in round 2 at Wakatani. But you've got to understand, he's got to finish, so he's got to keep it nice and clean, probably able to drive within himself, probably doesn't need to go all out to stay in the number 1 spot. 50.41 was his best time so far. To get here, that was the top 4 time, and look at the concentration on the face. So Hamish Pride doing what he loves to do and doing it better than anyone else. 50.41 in the 4. What can he do this time round? Working his way down towards the big finish. There'll be a big cheer from the crowd. It's a 50.68. It's good enough for Hamish Pride to claim round number 2. 50.68 for Hamish Pride. 53.09 Simon Campbell, and Peter Schuler riding his luck with a 53.20.
2 out of 2. It's a pretty good way to defend your championship.
It's a great start, actually. We've got 3 more races. It will really put the pressure on everyone else trying to claw points back, because once you get a big buffer like we've got now, and the points have been a little bit mixed up below us, those guys have got a real challenge to keep up with us. But we've still got to keep doing it right.
Well, he has been doing it right in the first 2 rounds of the Parker NZ Championship. That's why Hamish Pride has the perfect 50 points from Simon Campbell on 48. Peter Schuler there on 43. And look down the table, Tony Sargison there on 32. After the first round of the Parker NZ Jetsprint Championships held in Gisborne, drivers and crews headed north to Whakatane for round 2. What faced them would be a totally different challenge. Instead of the purpose-built manicured course at Gisborne's Aqua Track, it would be the shifting, constantly changing natural course carved out of the banks of the Whakatane River.
River course started here, and today looks like a traditional river course.
Yeah, but it'll be a bunch full of traps out there, and it's quite a challenge. There's a lot of rough water. Can't really use all our power.
How much more is the course going to change? The tops coming off the islands?
Yeah, a wee bit, and the points are washing out. So, and those will all be traps. You just can't get on the ends of the islands. You've got to sit right off them and keep your boat speed up.
For the more experienced in the field, this was where jet sprinting started. And for those drivers, it was a bit of a time warp.
I guess, you know, harks back to when we started, and I got to dig back into the old library and have a bit of a think about that. See, there's a couple of corners there we're taking would probably look a little bit of an unusual line, going a little bit wider around some of the reefs, and a particularly bad one around the top of 5 and 6. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough call. You've got to keep reminding yourself not just to look for the fastest line, but to look for a line that you actually can boat, because a lot of that water, it just has gravel only half an inch below it. So
when you were doing it 15 years ago, you didn't have 1,000 horsepower.
No, I guess we can make our own channel now, eh?
I think that's been the problem. We're talking to some of the Group A guys, and they're saying every time the Superboat guys go out, the course has changed.
Well, there's that many Group A guys, we thought they were changing the course, mate.
As well as the course constantly changing, navigation was proving to be an issue.
No, it was just one of those days. I just can't get the grip with it. I got lost twice in that last run. I've got it in the back of my mind. I study the map, I know the map, and I do it by heart, and I go out there and go blank.
All morning long in qualifying, the changing nature of the course was catching the drivers out. But none more so than Palmerston North's Eric Hoxema. With disappointing qualifying times on his hands and only one more chance, he was pushing things to the very limit. There it is on replay. If you have a look at this, the supercharged engine in the back of this thing makes over 1,000 horsepower. He just spins it out, and then he gets a swim. Here it is again. Watch this. The back of the boat nearly beats the front of the boat round the corner. Up onto the island he goes. A pirouette, and time for a Duncan for Eric Hoxema.
No problems getting out?
Not really, no. You know, like I knew in the back of my mind that there was a good safety crew there. There were 8 guys there ready to help me. I remember my friend saying when he rolled that he just looks for the light in the sky, and I looked up and I could see where the light was. I checked that my navigator was out. I had a nice cord on my belts. Simply pull it and swim on out. And I think it took me 7 seconds and then 4.
So we're down to the top 8, and Peter Bryant leading the charge with a 46.51. Peter Coe right behind him. Chris Barnes there as well. And what about Dale McLeod? First time we've seen him in the top 8. So he's had a good day here at round 2 of the Parker NZ New Zealand Jetsprint Championship. And it is Dale McLeod that we see first up. Best time so far of a 57.71. That was in the second round of qualifying. But as we always say, those times don't matter anything now. Away he goes on this river course, vastly different from what we saw in round number 1 in the purpose-built track at Gisborne. This is the Whakatane River, round 2, and this is Northland's Dale McLeod. Navigation has been a problem for some of these pilots here at Whakatane. Is it going to be a problem for this man? Best time 57.71, as we told you, about half distance now, so we're looking at a 54 second and change, I would think. You see the navigator there urging his pilot on, and some problems there. You heard them talk about the shelves, and the stuff under the water is what can catch you out. Maybe a little bit of a problem there as he works his way around that hairpin for Dale McLeod. Now he begins the run toward home, and it is a very fast run, certainly when you're talking about the superboats. That's what we're watching here, and the time for Dale McLeod will be a 54.63. He sets the benchmark in the 8, but there are some very big names to go ahead of him, and this is one of them. This is Taupo's Brian Smith. Rhonda is the co-driver. She sits alongside Brian in the Caltex Haviline boat. The time to beat now will be the 54.63, just posted by Dale McLeod. The big block in the back of the boat could be a problem. It works like a pendulum. All that weight in the back of the boat wants to get a little bit tail happy. These people have tuned that out, they hope anyway. Best time so far for Brian Smith is the 51.90, but he has gone aground once, so he's had some problems with the shelves. What can he do this time round? Second round of eliminations here at round number 2 of the New Zealand Jetsprint Championship. Oh, and there is the graphic example of nearly going aground there. Got well offline, and then he messed up the second corner as well. It happened so quickly. Time to beat, 54.63. That is the time of Dale McLeod. Brian Smith has gone quicker than that, appreciably quicker in the past. What can he do this time? 50.68. So he goes faster again. Brian Smith now is the fastest man on the water.
You're starting to get to that end of the day where you're going to have to really nail one, Reg.
Yep.
You got one there?
I have. We're off the throttle a fair bit on that last run, so it's kind of nice to be off it instead of hard into it the whole time. So we've got a bit left, so it's more exciting for us, a little bit more fun this time.
Well, there you are. You heard it from the man himself. This is Brian's brother, his older brother. This is Red Smith. He says they've got a bit more. Interesting to say that he is off the throttle more than he was on it. So what can he do this time? Best time so far is in the 51s, solidly in the 51s. But that's not going to be fast enough to beat his brother. But the time still to beat is that of Dale McLeod. Remember, we will cut them from 8 to 4, and then there will just be 2. That's some way off. There are the runs of Red Smith. 51, 51, 51. He's been consistent. Hasn't been blisteringly fast, but you heard him say in the interview, he's been off the gas a little. Oh, and nearly has a problem, and that part of the course has caught them all. The Group A boats and these boats, the super boats. Is it going to catch Reggie Smith? Is it going to slow him down that much? He'll be looking for a time in the 50s to challenge his brother, but he'd be happy with anything quicker than Dale McLeod. It will be a 51.82. It will be faster than McLeod. It won't be faster than his younger brother, Brian. Ian Easton is the next to go. Another one that has had major problems, navigational problems. He went aground in qualifying round number 2. He posted a 72.42 in qualifying 3, had real problems, but then he uncorked a 50.32. So he's got the pedigree, make no doubt about it. This past New Zealand sprint car champion really getting to grips with the super boat. The time still to beat is Dale McLeod, 54.63. Should be meat and drink for Ian Easton. Let's see what he can do. Normally co-driving with his daughter, of course. That's all changed this season. New co-driver, new combination to learn. Oh, and he just about puts it aground then. The boat snorts, takes a big chunk out of the island. Heading down towards the finish line now. He's done a 50.32. I don't think it's going to be quite that quick this time round. Will it be in the 50s or the 51s? It'll be a 51.52 for Ian Easton from Martin. This is the man that was the sensation in round number 1 in Gisborne, the purpose-built Aquatrack. This is Lee Goodman in the ex-Chris Barnes boat with a Chris Barnes reserve engine in there as well. This is his second full season in the New Zealand Championship. Hopes to do World Series again. The boat is old, the engine is probably of B-grade standard, I guess you'd say, but he has been fast. In fact, he's the first of our 8 here that has gone sub 50 seconds. That was in qualifying round number 3, did a 49.30. But you also heard all the drivers say that the conditions are changing dramatically run to run. And if you watched our Group A coverage, you'll know that that's what the Group A guys were saying as well. They said it was the Superboat. The Superboat guys say, no, it's the Group A boat. So it's tit for tat here at Whakatane, round 2 of the Parker NZ Championship. Time to beat, 54.63, still Dale McLeod, but he must be a worried man because this is the 4th, and we will be putting them on the trailer after this. It won't be this guy, though, 49.96.
Chris, we're starting to get down to the end of the day where, you're going to have to put one up.
Yeah, it's probably tied him act up a bit. She's a little bit out of control there in a couple of places, and yeah, just a few bobbles and coming back on your wakes, and it's washing in quite a lot, so you just got to watch the end of those islands. Yeah.
It's not the sort of place that you want to sort of make mistakes, though, is it?
No, not here. You're out. Put you out so quick. Yeah, just those shelves and that catch you out. So.
Peter says he's quite surprised how much the track is continuing to change.
It's changing all the time. Every run I'm having to move out into the middle and trying to boat the deeper water all the time. Yeah.
Well, you heard Chris Barnes there mentioning the deeper water. The thing with the deeper water is in these boats is they lose the suction, the ground effects, if you like, from Formula 1 years ago when they sucked the race car to the racetrack. Well, in the shallower water, these boats suck right down into the water. But when the water gets a little bit deeper, as it does in some parts here at Wakatani, that's where you have some problems. And you heard Chris Barnes saying he's being very respectful, very, very mindful of the islands. But that means he's got to go out into the deeper water. Hasn't slowed him appreciably, though. He has done a 47.31 to get into the top 16. That is the fastest on the water we had seen for quite some time. Great to have Chris Barnes back. The rumours going round was that he wasn't going to be in the New Zealand Championship, but the proof is in the pudding, and there you see it. He goes aground, he has a problem, and it's the shelf under the water that caused that. He wanted to keep it off the island. Here it is on the replay. Have a look at this. He gets very wide. That's out into the deep water. Just clips the shelf and unsettles the boat and gets up on the dry land, and that's all we'll see from Chris Barnes.
47-second run. How low are we going to go?
Whatever it takes.
And what's it going to take, Peter?
Hard to know today. I think somewhere in the low 46s is probably about where it's at. Depends how the track moves. You see, as the track keeps opening up, it may play in our favour and give us more water, or it may not. You know, like we're having to save a jet unit at the moment. We're actually driving reasonably wide, so there's time to do a pass like we just did, but with tighter lines, but giving the jet unit a bit of a hard time because it'll be sucking up some gravel possibly. There's probably another third of a second there, so let's wait and see.
Well, so many things to think about for Peter Coe and the man that goes after him, and that'll of course be Peter Bryant. Peter Coe finishing second in round number 1 in Gisborne. This is round number 2, Whakatane on the river. This is a natural course, if you like, not the purpose-built circuit we saw for round number 1. Best time for Peter has been a 47.01. You heard him say in the interview, maybe 46 is going to get the job done. We will wait and see. Got to tell you, he has had some problems too with a no time recorded in qualifying round number 2. Has had some issues. You heard him talk about navigation and also getting too close to the islands. And I'll tell you what, the navigation might have been playing on his mind because, can you believe it, the man with all the experience in the world has gone wrong. He's turned right when he should have turned left, and that means, you'll have a look at it on the replay here. Now watch this. That is where Peter Coe gets it wrong. What a time to throw it all away into the top 8 here in round number 2.
Getting worse out there?
Yeah, it definitely is. And those 180s are really hard to get right. And the shelves sticking out off the end of the corners are treacherous because you can't see them, and the islands are getting smaller and the shelves are getting bigger. So it's a real challenge here.
Well, if it is a real challenge, this man is up to the task. This is Peter Bryant. He is the current world and New Zealand champion. He won round number 1, and he said a 45 was on the cards. Now, I think there was a lot of psyching out involved in that. He didn't come close to the 45-second mark. You heard Peter Coe say it's going to take a 46. Well, if anyone can do a 46, this man can, because he's done one already. In fact, he's done one twice. He did it in the top 16, and he did it in the 3rd qualifying round as well. So he's got the pedigree. What are we going to see now from Peter Bryant? The time to beat is 51.82. That's Reg Smith. So he will be the next one gone if this goes according to plan, and we should see a sub 47-second run from the master in the New Zealand Seafoods boat. This is the Superboats, round number 2, Wakatani River, natural course, and a natural man at the wheel has the best of 46.51. What do we see this time? How about a 45.71? Peter Bryant stuns them all here at Wakatani. He does the 45-second run he promised in round 1. Lee Goodman stunned a few too with the 2nd place there from Brian Smith and Ian Easton. So this is Ian Easton, first to go of the top 4, round number 2. Parker NZ New Zealand Jetsprint Championships. A veteran of New Zealand motorsport, be it speedway, car rallying or jet sprinting. This is the form of Ian Easton as he works his way around the islands, or jumps the wake there, and then he gets a little bit out of shape, just goes a little bit wide, gets up on one of the banks. That is going to cost him maybe a 10th, maybe 2, and it's a wild ride from then on. Look at the boat bouncing all over the place. And listen to that big block scream. He is really giving it no quarter. The co-driver just working overtime trying to get Ian Easton back on track, and he's got it wrong again. He's put it aground twice now, but he keeps it going. What's the time going to be? That must have cost him the best part of half a second, I would think. working his way down towards the finish line now. This will be the benchmark for the 4. It'll be over the 50-second mark, I'm sure of it. 51.84 for Ian Easton. Probably not going to be good enough. Brian Smith would have watched that and seen where Ian Easton went wrong. His best time, a 50.68. The time to beat, though, Ian Easton's 51.84. Taupo's Brian Smith, the Caltex Haviline boat. His wife, Rhonda, sits alongside him. Now, we saw the wild hand waving from Dean Frecklington with Ian Easton. Look at the relaxed manner of Rhonda Smith. Just pointing hubby the right way to go. Well, hopefully it's the right way to go anyway. 50.68, his best time. The time to beat, though, is Ian Easton's 51.84. On his past accomplishments, he should do it. But you heard all the drivers say, with each run, the river is changing. The course is changing. 50.68 in the top 8 for Brian Smith. Working his way around the Serpentine course. So many have gone wrong today. Let's hope Brian Smith isn't going to be one of them. Time to beat 51.84. That was Ian Easton's time. What can Brian Smith do? Oh, it's going to be a startler. It's well under 50 seconds. It is 49.34.
There's a lot of places to get into trouble out there, isn't there?
There is. Yeah, there's a lot of shelves forming now. A lot of boats been through there during the day. It's getting to the serious end, and it's a bit messy up there now.
Well, this is Lee Goodman, and as we said before, he has been the sensation of the season. Only his second full season in the Superboat competition. It's an ex-Chris Barnes boat with an ex-Chris Barnes engine. Has gone quick, though. 49.30, best time so far to get through into the top 16. This is the top 4. He made it into 3rd place in round number 1 in Gisborne. What can he do this time around? You're on board with Lee Goodman. The time to beat is still Ian Easton's 51.84. Or maybe just a momentary lapse there for Goodman, but he gets it back under control again. Kendrick engine singing as he works his way around the Serpentine natural course, a river course vastly different from what we saw in Gisborne in round number 1, and they've all had to contend with it, and some have done a better job than others. Well, once again, very close to going aground there, so Goodman is giving it everything. Best time, 49.30. That was in the top 16. He went a little bit slower in the top 8. This is the top 4. Are we going to see a 49-second run from Lee Goodman, working his way down towards the finish line now? 48.57. That's the fastest. It's bye-bye Ian Easton. So this man, well, you don't want to bet against him in any situation. He is the world champion. He is the New Zealand champion. I should say this combination because Robin Fox has been with him since the get-go. This is Peter Bryant from Gisborne, the New Zealand Seafoods boat. He's already done a 45.71. That was to get him through here to the top 8. Although this is the top 4, are we going to see a faster run? He's toyed with the idea of a 45-second run in round number 1. Didn't happen. It's got every chance of going even quicker here. Are we going to see a sub-45-second run from Peter Bryant? He's certainly capable, and look at the difference. Look at the way the boat handles on the water. They are the masters. Robin Fox calling the shots, and Peter Bryant listening intently. Working their way towards the finish here at Wakatani. Has he been listening carefully enough? I think he has. 45.37. That's the fastest he's gone all day. So Peter Bryant once again tops the table here at Wakatani with his 45.37. But it'll be Lee Goodman he meets in the final 2. Well, in less than 50 seconds, if everything goes well for Lee Goodman, we'll know if he's got something for Peter Bryant. He's gone a 48.57. Peter Bryant, well, he's dipped under the 46-second mark. You're on board here with Lee Goodman. Second full season in the Superboats. This is round 2 of the Parker NZ New Zealand Championship. They say the cream rises to the top, and that's what we've got here. Didn't make the 2 in round number 1, but in there in spades here in round number 2. Lee Goodman, I'm sure, getting advice from the ex-boat owner, Chris Barnes. This is the ex-Barnes boat, ex-Barnes engine, but Chris, of course, went out in the top 8. Lee Goodman here, right till the bitter end. This is his run. All the times he's done before don't mean anything now, but we can tell you to set the benchmark, he has done a 48.57. What's it going to be this time around? It's got to be appreciably quicker than that to turn back Peter Bryant. They work down towards the finish line now. Looks like it'll be under the 48-second mark. The time ticks away. It is a 47.79. Well, can Peter Bryant go faster? Well, you bet your life he can. He's been faster. 45.37 in the top 4, 45.71 in the top 8, 46 in the top 16. So, Lee Goodman, well, he's staring at something pretty special here, because you can guarantee he'll be watching this run. Remember, he's got to finish it. He's got to put the clean run together, and he's got to get through to the finish to keep his streak alive in the New Zealand Championship, but never count out this man. Peter Bryant, Robin Fox together in the New Zealand Seafoods boat. Well, the other thing you've got to take into consideration is he can drive within himself. He's been appreciably quicker than Goodman in all of the eliminations. He doesn't have to push it to the limit, but that is the way Peter Bryant operates. 45s in the run-up to this one. Are we going to see another 45-second run here from the man from Gisborne? Heading down towards the finish line now, this big long run in here at Wakatani. Is it going to be a 45-second run? It isn't. It's going to be 46.19, but it's good enough to keep the streak alive, and Peter Bryant wins round number 2. So Peter Bryant picks up the maximum points haul with a 46.19 and turns back Lee Goodwin's 47.79.
That was a heck of a course out there. It was causing a lot of people a lot of problems.
Oh, it was really hard to get right, and I guess that's why you saw so many of the top competitors come out, not finishing the top group.
But, well, that's 2 out of 2. It's a good way to start your championship.
Yeah, but as I usually say, we've got to forget about them and move on now, because it's another day tomorrow.
Well, it may be another day tomorrow, but it's another day that Peter Bryant will be on top of the table. The perfect score. In second place, it is Lee Goodman. In third, Peter Cowie, even though he didn't make it through eliminations. And in fourth, Brian Smith.
The circuit here at Paeroa. Here's the race leaders. Oh, there are all sorts of problems.
Oh, big carnage. Oh, straight to the barriers and through the smoke we come.